Are you on probation, out on parole, or have a rap sheet? I want to talk to you today. First started out with the beard community with men. Gray Bailey was meant to teach men and women how to be naturally beautiful and handsome. And a perfect place for me to start was with the beard. And it's extended from there to various playlists. Out of over 10,000 subscribers and the thousands of people that watch these videos, I will say this. This might be the single most pinpointed, focused group that I'm reaching out to. Out of 10,000 people, if there's 3, 4, or 5 individuals that can relate to this, then my work is done. Are you on probation, out on parole, or have a rap sheet? That was my question. Even if you get something expunged, the rap sheet is still in your head. The humiliation that you went through, even though you may have deserved it, so to speak, in court, in sentencing, and incarceration, with being labeled, with having a record, with wearing an ankle bracelet, with being arrested, arraigned, all of those things are meant to literally beat a man or a woman down. You almost have to harden yourself to the point where that if that happens to you and it doesn't affect your self-esteem, then you know you're a hardened criminal. But for most people, it's humiliating, it hurts. And I will say this, you could be a good person who made some really dumb choices. Let me say it again. You could be a good person who made some really dumb choices. That certainly is a possibility. You did the crime, you did the time, or you're doing the time. Now you have to move on. There are people who will have nothing to do with you because of that. And you have to overcome that. Because many times your record or rap sheet will precede you. So you may have to reinvent those who don't have a past. When was the last time you visited somebody in prison? It's intimidating, isn't it? I would say for most of you, it's if you don't have a relative or a loved one or a friend that has been incarcerated, you probably have never been to a jail or a prison. For those that have been, you know how someone controls every minute of your life, when you wake, when you sleep, what you eat, where to go, how fast to walk. They control your reactions. You can't show any emotion. You have to harden yourself. And the memories of that stuff stays with you when you come out. I remember working in a prison as a healthcare administrator. I was the top dog in charge of the health services in the prison. I had many, many people working for me. Every department that you would see in a normal community hospital was inside this prison. I'll never forget one day pulling up for work, and there was a fella with just like plain gray nondescript pants on and a white t-shirt and sneakers, and alongside of him was a duffel bag. He had just completed 18 years. 18 years. He went in when he was about 20 years old. He's now about 38, so close to 40 years old. All of his adult life was behind bars. He was released, given a few things in a duffel bag, and he was waiting for a taxi. How does that man even begin life again? Number one, not knowing how to live in society. Number two, having a rap sheet. I don't know what he was in for. I remember seeing him in the general population. And I'm not just talking as an administrator. I'm talking to you as a person who has been there before, who has experienced this as well. But I remember him saying, I don't know. I said, where are you going? He said, I don't know. going from having your life controlled to being free. And even though he is logistically free, he's no longer behind bars. He's no longer controlled by bells and whistles and schedules and told what to do, where to go, how to do it, etc., etc. Even though there's no chains and bars around him, I will say this, he will have chains. And this was probably 12, 13 years ago. I haven't been in that industry in a long time. He will have those chains and those bars in his heart and in his head. It will be hard for him to liberate himself from his past. Those of you, I want to stay on target here. Those of you who are on probation, out on parole, or have a rap sheet, right now you're having people control your life. You feel like you can't go forward in life. You need to reinvent yourself. You can't go back to your past because you'll end up back behind bars. You'll end up being like a dog walked on a leash, to let out to go to the bathroom, brought back in, fed at a certain time. You don't want that. The biggest shackle that you have is here. You need to unshackle yourself here. I speak very passionately about that. And the biggest thing you need to overcome is the thought that I cannot do anything. No one will hire me. Who wants me? Who wants a person that lived a deceptive life or did drugs or hurt people? Who wants to even be near that? Who wants to take a chance with that person? So you isolate yourself. And then you end up hanging with other people who kind of like isolated themselves. So you're like isolated together. And what happens is there's a cross-pollination of negative energy, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So the issue is this, is that many people will just go and throw a rock through a window and then just sit on the curb and wait for the cops to come arrest them, so they can go back to being incarcerated where it's safe, where everyone has a rap sheet, everyone has a past. No one can point the fingers at one another. I'll never forget working in a rehab a long time ago, and I remember the crack addicts, all ragged, pointing their fingers at the heroin addicts, saying, "Man, I'd never stick a needle in my arm," as if that was something to brag about. I'll never forget that argument. I'd never stick a needle in my arm. And then the heroin addict saying, "Oh yeah, man, you smoking on the glass dick every night." And I was like, wow, that's language I never heard before. So they're more comfortable amongst one another as opposed to getting out. I want to challenge you to get out. If you're on probation, out on parole, or have a rap sheet, you need to reinvent yourself. Reinvent yourself, which means start acting like someone else. The best thing you can do, start taking acting lessons. If you think I'm kidding and you doubt me, then you continue in your life of just constantly struggling. Reinvent yourself. Become someone else. Start acting successful. Start acting like someone who's had nothing but successes. Side by side, a successful person with the money to back it up and the big bank account and the nice car, who's side by side with a person who's acting successful, the appearance to me as I'm looking at them is I can't tell the difference because they're both acting the same. Now, one can back it up with the bank account, the house, and the cars and so forth. But it starts with acting like you are successful. And it goes back to my whole thing of the principle of massive action. I'm not talking about living in denial. Forget what the judge says, because your defense lawyers will talk about mitigating circumstances, which might work in court for you, which means, you know, he was raised by a single mom, he was in the ghetto, he was beaten as a child, he was, you know, like whatever. Okay, has this disease, has like what, everything to kind of get a lesser sentence. But the reality is you're now out in the real world, and mitigating circumstances don't matter. And prosecutors will tell you, well, look at his past. He has a rap sheet a mile long. He's going to continue going that direction. This is a defected, societally defected individual, and we need to put him or her behind bars. And the judge buys that bullshit and says, the best predictor of the future is the past. Bullshit. Stop it right now. The past does not equal the future. For those that are on probation, out on parole, and have a rap sheet, your past does not equal your future. Move beyond it. Get rid of the shackles here. Get rid of the shackles here. Start acting like a productive person. Get up. If you're a shaving man, get up and shave. Groom your hair. Iron your clothes. If you're a woman who doesn't take care of yourself, get up and take care of yourself. Start looking like someone who's successful, even though you're not successful. Because what'll happen is people will react to you like you are successful. You don't need to wear on your sleeve your rap sheet. You don't need to walk around with your record on the tip of your tongue, ready to tell your story all the time. Eventually, you're going to learn how to encapsulate your story. And that comes with humility. That comes from realizing, holy crap, I made a huge mistake and wasted years of my life. And I bear emotional and physical scars and logistical scars as proof of it. You've lost family, you've lost children, you've lost loved ones, you've lost spouses as a result of your choices and lifestyle. You've come to realize the role that you've played in your demise. Get out of it. You can do it. There is hope beyond a rap sheet. There's hope beyond reporting to a probation officer or a parole officer or giving urine tests or blood tests to see if you're still doing drugs. That's all very humiliating stuff, isn't it? And living in fear. I'm telling you right now, you can live beyond that. You can go, there's life after that. Stand tall. Suck in your stomach. Stick out your chest. Put your shoulders back. Sit up straight. Iron your clothes. Groom yourself. Get rid of the street talk, no matter who you are. If you're a blue-collar crime guy, if you're a white-collar crime guy or gal, whatever. It's never too late to start making right choices. Your past is not the predictor of the future. You control your trajectory as of right now. A projectile goes in the direction that it's pointed in. You aim a rocket in that direction, the rocket goes in that direction. You aim a gun in that direction, the bullet goes in that direction. This is what I want you to do. Aim yourself in a different direction. And that's where the projectile will go. That's where you will go, in that direction. And you will be in motion. The goal is not to become perfect overnight. The goal is to be in motion, and it starts with a decision. And I've had it moment. I'm sick and tired of being judged by my past, because everyone's got a past. Everybody's got a past. Even if someone has never been arrested, arraigned, put in jail, handcuffed, humiliated, sat in the back of a police car, been interrogated, searched, released, probationed, paroled, shackled, wearing ugly jumpsuits, had a judge pointing fingers at you. Even if that never happened to you, everyone has a past. I don't put you down. What kills me is people putting each other down because their thoughts are more pure than other people's thoughts. I heard years ago, if you knew the deepest, darkest thoughts of the person sitting next to you right now, you'd probably get up and move. Let me say that again. If you knew the deepest, darkest thoughts of the person sitting next to you, you would get up and move. You wouldn't even be able to sit next to that person. They won't be able to sit next to you. So what is the hope? What is the outcome? What is the purpose of this video? Because I'm wrapping it up real quick now. What is the purpose? There's hope. Get rid of the shackles here. The shackles here are now gone. You need to get rid of the shackles here. Reinvent yourself. Act like a successful, law-abiding, decent person. You have to work your way up. Hence my video of filming that video on humility when you are lying flat on the ground and there's nowhere to look but up. That's where you might be. There's no one whose self-esteem remains normal after being on probation, out on parole, or having a rap sheet. There's no way you can feel normal. You have to create a new normal for yourself because society is not going to help you with that. You're going to have a record. You have a past. Everyone has a past, we know that. But you have a very specific past. I want the best for you. You can do it. If you know someone who would benefit from this, please forward the video. There is no video like this. Out of the billions of videos in this world, there's none like this one that you're listening to. None. And it's only going to appeal to a handful of people who have experienced it or are experiencing it. You've cried till there's no more tears left. You've had people leave you. You've lost everything that's close and precious to you. Everything. Your grief is so deep, you just want to tear at yourself. There's nothing. You fall asleep and you faint. You pass out from grief. It hurts. It friggin' hurts. And your only reaction is either just pure weakness or aggressiveness. I challenge you to channel that aggressiveness into reinventing yourself and creating something positive, a new life for yourself. You can do it. I know you can, because I believe in you. Now I'm getting damn emotional about this. Holy crap. Now go out and do it.